So today, today is our joint webinar between us and Chester Venture Global. Chester Venture is actually offering foreign products to the client, and we have chosen this Phrases product Encompass to be our first product that we will actually feature to Chester Venture clients. Maybe in the meantime, I just introduce Theo from Chester Venture Global to say a few words.
Thank you, Nick. Guys, if my line is not very stable, please excuse me. I'm actually in Hong Kong now, and in Hong Kong, mask is compulsory, right? So don't be worried. Just that I envy all of you. I know I'm not all without mask. Okay. Anyway, this is our first collaboration with IPS. Moving forward into 2023, Chester Global will be introducing more opportunities, investing properties globally. And the first we'll start with Australia, and probably next month we will feature a property project in Philippines and so on, right? So thank you to all guests who are attending. Thank you to all Chesterians who are attending today to learn more on Australian properties. And I'll pass back the stage to Nick.
Okay, thanks everyone. So today, just to brief you on our rundown for today's webinar event. So I'm the host, Nick from IPS Real Estate. Adam Bryan has joined us from Phrases Property Group. He'll be speaking. I'm sure we've been getting a lot of questions now towards the end of the year. A lot of people planning for their next year for the children's education, and also asking a lot into the Australian property market before some of the sentiments. So Adam will give us some updates on the property market and also present a little bit on the project that we have chose today, which is Encompass in Carlton, which is a project that's very near to Melbourne University and also Melbourne CBD. Then there'll be Jason Kwan from 360 MMS for clients who require finance. I'm sure there are a lot of foreign clients who are asking, what can I do? How much can I borrow in case I need to purchase a property? So Jason will touch on that. Then I will go on to zoom in to, as I'm in Melbourne now, I did a few display videos and also the project update videos, which I'm excited to show you later. So without further ado, I would like to invite Adam to start our presentation today.
Good afternoon from Melbourne, guys, and thank you for everyone that's joined us today. Thank you, Nick and the team, for allowing me to present today. As mentioned, just to start with, I want to just give you a quick overview of what's happening in the Australian and the Melbourne property market at the moment, because there's some mixed reports coming out of what's happening in the market at the moment. One of the things that we always discuss with our clients is, particularly when they're looking at purchasing from overseas, is looking at this opportunity as a long-term investment. So if you have a look at some of the stats I've shown there back from 2004, and you could potentially go back another 20 years if you like, and you can see on the graph it's pretty consistent as to what's happening in the Australian market in general in terms of capital growth as the years pass. So when we're talking about the current market and we're talking about a slight dip in prices at the moment, in general, that's been an effect from interest rate rises. But again, what we look at is this is still a very good time to buy, given these sorts of statistics that we've shown consistently with purchasers buying in Australia, that capital growth has continued to be produced year after year. So the other couple of things that's happening in the current market is leasing and rental demand. So for some of you going back over the last 2 years may have been aware that particularly during COVID in Australia and in Melbourne, it did cause the rental market to drop and to dip. What we have seen particularly this year is a significant jump in rental values. So particularly in areas like Carlton, we're finding really high demand and very good returns in the current market. And where there's going to be continued pressure in this rental space will be from recent changes also by the Australian government. So some of you may be aware, the government has announced further migration and opening up our borders to migrants looking to move back to Australia or move to Australia and move to Melbourne. So that intake is going to increase. And we know through all our statistics in the past, once migration increases, I think it's up to about 70% of those migrants will be looking to initially lease a property. All right, some will purchase, but the majority will be looking to lease initially and then buy. So that will put more pressure on the demand for rental. And in general, when you've got demand, you've got the prices increasing for rental. So it has been a real positive story with, you know, the future next few years in terms of those that are looking at particularly inner city apartments as an investment. It's a positive story from our end and what we're hearing in the media. Just go back that one, Waikin, you flick through. I just want to make sure, yeah, I've covered that one. Sorry, mate. Across to this one. So this is not statistics I'm using as terms of what Frasers are saying as a developer. These are statistics by a number of property experts and property agencies, statistical agencies that monitor the Australian market and the Melbourne market. So in another recent article, I just took a snapshot of this to show people that, again, in the whole of Australia, you know, that Melbourne inner city, particularly Fitzroy and Carlton, which is where today's opportunity that we're presenting is, that's really been highlighted as a great area in terms of potential capital growth and potential rental return increasing in these areas. So that's why we've highlighted this here, showing that increase. So we might just play a quick video with a bit of an overview of the Encompass project. If anyone's got any more questions about the market later on, I'm happy to answer. But in general, again, for well-located property in Melbourne, sales are still strong, and regardless of those interest rate increases, we're still experiencing good demand for property in Melbourne. Let's show you the Encompass offering. we go. So really, I think that video says it all. I mean, what we've found with number 8 Elgin Street, which is the opportunity we have, it's an off-plan apartment project from Fraser's property. Fraser's property, by the way, and some of you will be familiar with us. We are one of the largest developers and one of the most awarded developers in Australia now. So this project is due for completion around September next year. It's well under construction, so it's a great time to be looking at an off-plan opportunity once a builder's confirmed, construction started. We have sold quite a few apartments within the building, but there's still some great opportunities available. And the location's the key here. As growing up in Melbourne and knowing this location so well, it's one of the best locations you can live in Melbourne. You don't need a car. It's very central. As we mentioned in the video, you've got access to some of the best restaurants in Melbourne, cafes. So it's a great place to meet friends and family and look for, some great entertainment venues. It's neighbouring Melbourne's education precinct, which has got several universities. So to give you an idea, it's about an 8-minute walk to Melbourne Uni. You've got a campus for Monash, RMIT. Again, these are all within walking distance. So great location. We have done multiple developments in this pocket of Melbourne. So Fraser's, this is about our 8th building from Fraser's that we've done as a joint venture with the state government. So you might see on the map there the larger red buildings. So they're actually government building. We can talk about that later if you want more detail. What we're selling is a private only building that's been selling very well in the current market. So as I just mentioned, these buildings are architect designed. We've already delivered 7 of these buildings to the market in Melbourne, been highly successful. I don't mind saying I was fortunate enough to purchase an investment in one of the previous releases for Carlton, and having about, well, this is my 16th year with Fraser's. It certainly worked out very well for what we were looking at as an investment for our family. Again, just tapping on here, walkability and access, which is really the key of what majority of people are looking for, particularly if you're looking to use the apartment as an investment. So central. You've got Coles Supermarket around the corner. You've got gyms, swimming pools, great restaurants and facilities, parkland, and walking distance into the city as well. So the building itself is really a 7-level. It's actually 8-level, but I call it 7-level because there's only 3 apartments that are on level 8. We have a fantastic residence lounge. Now that residence lounge you can book out for birthday parties, can just be a common area where people can use it as for study groups or any type of entertainment. There'll also be a lovely balcony space with city views where you can have a nice barbecue and a nice dining area that you can use as well. So really multi-purpose facility. You can see the interiors here, really nice modern design, timber flooring, which is easy to maintain, carpets in the bedroom. Most of our apartments have an island bench, which gives you heaps of storage in the kitchen. And the quality of our previous buildings has been fantastic. This is a resident space I was speaking about. There's a library space, a lounge area, and other areas that you could book out for entertainment and family gatherings or gatherings with friends. As we've already covered, lots and lots of things to do in Carlton that we've already highlighted. Competitors, one of the great aspects about Carlton at the moment, to give you a bit of the background, we locked in our construction costs with our builder over 12 months ago now, okay? And what has also happened in the market is building costs have gone up, labour has gone up. So this type of building, we would not be able to build. If you come and talk to Nick and the team in another 12 months, we can't build it at this price anymore, okay? And I think that's the key for those that are, you know, thinking, do I get into the market now? So the price point and the opportunity to buy in this building is particularly encouraging and inviting. Our price points are just over 8,000 a square metre for some of our apartments. Now, to give you an idea in terms of per square metre, a lot of apartments in Melbourne now that are released off plan will be up around 12 to 13,000 a square metre. So for this part and this location in Melbourne, we're by far one of the most affordable projects that you can buy into. And there's a few examples here of competitors. As I mentioned before, out of all our projects in Victoria, rental demand and strength of return is very, very strong in Carlton. You'll get a great mix of clientele in this location. Young professionals, yes, people looking to study, and that student market. But the building is not student accommodation. The building is very much designed for an owner-occupier. So we've had a really good take-up with owner-occupiers. Local market's been very strong, and it's been quite diverse into who's bought into that building. And you can see here the strength in the rental return here, because it's such a great location. People will pay a premium to live in Carlton. Construction update. We might play a little bit of this. I'm just mindful of everyone's time, but we've got, again, any of our purchases, we do really detailed construction updates, so you know exactly what's going on and exactly how our delivery's tracking. We've got a great track record with our delivery. We don't foresee any delays with this project. Construction's ramping up. The guys are doing a great job. And there's a bit of a snippet here that we can play you.
Hi, I'm Holly, and welcome to the first construction update for Encompass Carlton. I'm standing outside Found, our previously completed apartment complex. The location of this project puts you right on the doorstep of Fitzroy and Carlton, yet still close to the CBD. The walkability between work, education, entertainment, and active pursuits are right there. The Sunday markets, or heading down to the RMIT Gallery for the latest exhibition, or brunch on Brunswick Street, the world's your oyster. Encompass is the final stage of a 10-year redevelopment project between Fraser's Property and Sitter Property in Carlton. Featuring 115 apartments, this landmark project will inject new life into the area and deliver high-quality homes complemented by fantastic amenity for residents. Encompass provides 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments spread over 8 floors. The Level 7 Residence Lounge provides a space for people to relax, entertain and take in the stunning views of the city skyline and Carlton Gardens. There's quite a bit of activity going on down here on site, with HDP just pouring our Basement 3 slab. The formwork for Basement 2 is going in now, ahead of the pour, and just behind me here, the double height precast columns have just been lifted in. Encompass is 70% sold, and we invite you down to the display apartment for your final chance to make a purchase. Thank you for joining me for this update. Can't wait to share more.
Thanks, Joaquin. We sped that up a little bit. Holly doesn't normally talk that quickly, but we're just mindful of everyone's time. There's a bit to get through today. We actually finished our last construction update a few days ago. We are up to about level 3 with construction now. And that building's, just to let you know, is quite elevated. even the ground floor of that building sits quite a bit higher than the road level. So even from level 1 and 2, you'll actually get city aspects. Great opportunity to be looking in that building. Just to quickly summarise the opportunity that we've spoken about today is it's that brilliant location of Carlton. It's a high demand area for those that are looking to invest, and a great opportunity in terms of pricing in the current market. So again, at the end, if there's any questions, happy to go through that. I'll hand it back to Nick and the team. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. Just before I invite Jason, just to remind the attendees, right? There's a chat box function available here. So what you can do is you can type in any questions that you have. We have a short Q&A session after this with Adam and also Jason. So if any questions, feel free to ask and type it in. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can, as we have limited time, but do type in your questions if you have any. Okay, next, I'd like to invite Jason Kwan from 360 MMS.
Thanks, Nick. Let me share my screen. Hopefully it works time. Nick, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see. You put it on
Okay.
slideshow mode. It is slideshow.
I think it is. Yep. Is it?
It is. You can see it. No problem.
Yeah, you can see it. No problem. Okay, good. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason. I'm based in KL at the moment, and I'll be traveling back and forth between KL, Melbourne, and Sydney. Adam, watching your video and your presentation, it reminds me of what Melbourne's like, and everything you said about Carlton and Fitzroy is so true. It's arguably one of the best places to live in Melbourne. I spent the first 5 years in Carlton, and then I moved out to the suburbs, and then I spent the last 5 in Carlton before coming back to KL again. But every now and then, my wife and I would reminisce about our times, and the cafes and the walkability in Carlton. It's just so great. You think about the Australian and Melbourne lifestyle that you watch on TV or you hear about, and Carlton delivers on every aspect. So I'm really dying to get back into Carlton. And rental prices, it goes in a direct relationship with interest rates. So interest rates, as they rise, the rental prices will rise as well, because interest is the cost of buying funds, right, or borrowing money. So the higher your interest, the lesser the amount of buyers on the market, and therefore these pool of buyers, if they're not investors, if they're owner occupiers, they then move into the rental market. So either way, it's something that you can seriously consider. So 360 MMS, in short, we're a non-bank lender. We focus on people like you. I'm guessing most of our audience are in Southeast Asia. So locals, being locals in Australia, expats, non-residential, and other sorts of more specialized sort of lending, right? Like SMSF and DIS, Shariah compliance if that's something that you want, and SME lending. We do full doc, low doc, lease doc options. That's available across our entire product range, and we do have internet banking and offset facilities with multilingual options as well. So if you're in Malaysia, English is not your first language, or if you're in Hong Kong, English is not your first language, you won't have any trouble navigating our system. And we do have Chinese-speaking customer service agents or representatives in KL who would be able to help you as well. We believe that the quality in the service is not what we put into it, but it's what you as a customer get out of it. So our current SLA to conditional approval, meaning the day you have all your documents ready, your application complete, submitted in the system, it'll take 5 days for us to come back with an indicative answer. We're trying to work on that, but at this moment, it's 5 days. You would have an experienced relationship manager to work on your file and to communicate with you. We can get people who are based here or in your local area who speaks your local language, so you feel a bit more comfortable. Okay, the difference between borrowing from Australia versus Southeast Asia is a question that we get asked a lot. The main things are your higher LVR. So LVR to some people in Asia is known as LTV, which is your loan to valuation ratio. Whatever the bank will send a valuer out to look at a property. And if the valuer says that, okay, I agree with the purchase price is 500,000 and you're borrowing or you're taking out a loan of 400, you take 400, you divide it by 500, that's 80%. So if you borrow from Australia like ourselves, you can go up to 85%. Whereas if you go with your local banks, I know in Malaysia and maybe Singapore, you go up to maximum of 70%. Okay, they don't finance NDIS properties, and we do, but that's a separate conversation altogether. There are negative gearing benefits by borrowing in Australia, because in Australia you get taxed quite a lot, but you also get benefits from some tax rules and reliefs like you get in Malaysia, right? So one of the benefits is that you receive rental income, but you pay interest. That offset is called negative gearing. So you get that in Australia, whereas in Southeast Asia, I believe you may or may not get that. You've got offset and redraw facilities. There are no age restrictions. So if you're retiring not tomorrow, but if you're retiring in say 20 years, you can still take a 30-year loan. That's no problem, right? A construction loan, it's not applicable in this conversation, but just so you know, we can do construction loans, whereas the local banks, they don't do it. And as I've mentioned, the loan term, we don't reduce it for people over a certain age. Foreign income, if you're an expat or non-resident, that means that, so non-residents are defined as people with no visas at all, okay? Expats or everyone else, you fall under the expat sort of product, including PR, TR, whatever it is, as long as it's not a bridging visa. If you're on a temporary visa, we can consider you under the expat pricing, which is actually cheaper, okay? So we do it for people who are employed or people who are self-employed. So you run your own business, we can do that, okay? The difference between the one on the left and the one on the right is really mainly rates and your LVR. So if you have some sort of connection to Australia, your rates are a bit lower, your LVR is a bit higher, the maximum loan amount available is a little bit higher, right? Whereas on the right, if you don't have any visa connection with Australia, then your rates do go up quite a bit. So full dot, alt dot, lease dot, full dot, alt dot, lease dot, this relates more to self-employed people, right? So if you run a business, you may not have, how do I put it, completed your tax returns yet, or your tax returns may not be an accurate representation of what your current situation is because the tax returns was done probably a while ago. We can go with AltDoc, which is a reduced level of supporting documentation to sort of support your income level. Because if you take one of our clients, for example, the tax returns will say that he earns, just for argument's sake, 100,000, but from the bank statements, we can easily show 200, 300, 400, even 500,000. So we can rely on the better figure based on AltDoc application, right? LeaseDoc is just an option based on your rental income from your investment property. So if you own 1 or 2 or 3 properties in Australia, we can just go with LeaseDoc, meaning we don't look at your personal income. We just go on whatever rental income that you are currently getting or proposed from the agents. We can use that to service your, or to assess your serviceability. So as with all loan applications or all credit applications, the 3 main things we look at would be income, equity, and conduct. Income is your net income. So whatever income you receive, minus all your expenses and liabilities as assessed by the lender, that's income. Equity is how much equity you have. So remember, we spoke about LVR, there will be savings and all that sort of stuff as well. So out of this purchase, right, you're typically supposed to pay a certain purchase price plus a little bit of cost. Equity means that, can we support that 60, 70, 80, 85% LVR that you're seeking? And if it's there, then great, that box is checked. Conduct means that you would have to have a clean credit history, no late repayments. If you have late repayments, that's okay. Let us know. We can look into it. And, sometimes we may let it pass as well, depending on the story. The difference between us and the banks, we are a story-based lender. So we provide solutions as long as the story stacks and we can find a way to mitigate things from happening, because life happens, right? So what we do look out for in both cases would be your home country credit report. So if you're based in Malaysia, your Malaysian credit report. If you're based in Singapore, a Singapore credit report. We'll run a credit report in Australia as well to see how your conduct is. If this is your first ever credit facility, that's okay. Your credit report will be clean. But that's why we also look at your home country credit report, or wherever that you're employed. That's where we look at. Okay, so if you're an employee, we look at your 3 months pay slip, salary credit, so bank statements to show that your salary is actually being credited into your bank account, and then employment letter, and then we'll call your employer just to verify it. If you're self-employed, we then look at your financial statements for the last 2 years, individual and company, your tax assessment notice for, so whatever from LHDN or your IRS, whatever that may be, we'll look into it, just to confirm whatever that you submitted is correct. And of course, your bank statements as well to see that your company is actually trading. And often your tax returns may be, 6, 12, 18, 24 months old. So the bank statement sort of validates that, hey, okay, it sort of supports whatever that it was 6, 12, or 24 months ago, right? Whereas with AltDoc, we do not have a look at your financial statements at all, or your company tax returns. All we ask for is your company and personal bank statements and a letter from your accountant to substantiate your income. So it's as simple as that. Leasedoc, even simpler. All we ask for is council rates to make sure that you haven't been late on your council rates payments, and that you actually own the property, and the agent's rental appraisal for your new property and current rental statements for your existing property to substantiate the income that you're getting from your investments. This is something that is a little bit outside of a standard purchase scenario. So for those of you who actually have existing loans or loan facilities in Australia and you're paying, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12%, and you want to lower your rate, we can do this as an easy refinance. So this applies to non-residents as only, but we're actually opening to locals as well. So what it is if your rate is currently higher than what we offer, instead of looking at the full income, equity, and conduct, all we look for is equity and conduct. So we'll run a valuation report on your property, and we will look at your conduct. So your conduct will be your credit report, your loan statements over the last 12 months, as long as there are no arrears. Late payments up to 14 days, acceptable, or anything with a story, we can accept it. And again, the council rate. So just the very basic minimum requirements to assess your serviceability for the loan. That's it. My name is Jason. Again, this is my Australian number. You can reach me on WhatsApp. You can email my team, clientservice@360mms.com.au. Anything that I've presented is current as of today, and it's subject to change. The RBA, as you know, is increasing the rates the next increase or the next meeting will be in February. So for the next 2 months, rest assured that there will be no increases. Okay. Encompass, I think you're currently up to level 3, as you mentioned, Adam. So that will take another couple of months to completion. What we can do now is we can assess for a pre-approval to get an indication of what's possible so that you can make a better informed purchase from a budgeting perspective. If not, if you can't do this today, then we can give you a plan for what you can do in the next 3 months to get you ready to purchase. That's it from me.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So yeah, I'm sure those who have questions we will ask you later in times. And thanks for your presentation. I was at the site last week, so I'm just going to show some of the the participants where we are located exactly. I did take photo of what the current construction site is, but I think Waikin is going to cover that already, so I'm not going to talk more about that. I'm just going to go through briefly presentation. So let's start from beginning. As Encompass, yeah. So yeah, this is sorry, it's not a professional Photoshop. So this is where the building is. I took the photo from the corner of the block, Palmerston Street. So I think it's probably at level 2 or level 3 now. You can see the building is really up. So expected completion as of the updates is at 3rd quarter of this year. Okay. So this is the view from Nicholson Street. I'll show you in front exactly as from, and this is the view from Elgin Street. Yeah. Okay. It's a quick view. Just building. So this is how it looks like. Live from the building. Yeah. Okay. Then there's a tram stop on Nicholson Street. You can see a tram stop right opposite. So this tram takes you to the city in 14 minutes. That's the tram 96 or tram 11 to the city area. Then there's also a bus stop, direct bus stop to Melbourne University. It's bus 200, takes you direct to Melbourne University in 6 minutes, and 207, two buses also goes to Melbourne University. I think I was walking around there and I saw a lot of people cycling. So I think it's probably an 8 to 10 minute cycle to Melbourne Uni as well. So some students like to cycle to Melbourne Uni, and I think it's a very convenient way to do it, to go to the city, to go to the university. Alternatively, for people who live around, for the residents of the building, there's actually a go-get. I was walking past and this car right in front, I was looking at it. So what you can do, you can actually subscribe to the service, walk down to Palmerston Street and get into this car, and you can rent it for the day or so. I think it's not very expensive to get to 20, 30, 40 bucks, something like that, to get to the suburbs or go to the beach, and return the car without having to pay for car park. So it's quite an interesting solution as well. Yeah. So, Jake wanted to say hi. He was in the display. So this is the found display, which was, I think, Adam was ready. When was this ready? Do you remember? 2 years ago?
Yeah, this is in our last building that was completed about 2 years ago.
Okay, so yeah. Let me see if I can play this. Yeah. Oops. Okay, we lost him there a little bit. Sorry. Okay, I think I skip this one. I'll go to the next one. And yep. Sorry, let's just make it here. Sorry. Just gonna view this again. Share screen again. Yeah. So this is the display. Okay, so this is how it looks like, the display inside. So this is a 68 square meter apartment. It's look at it, it's quite spacious inside. The one in encompass, I believe the kitchen appliances and cabinets are going to be a bit modern, but this is a trio apartment, just to give you an idea how it looks like. And we go into the is the kitchen. So what you see inside here is timber flooring. All the kitchen appliances are actually included. You see in there. Yep, so this is the master bedroom. So it's quite a big room for 68 square meter internal. You can also see that's wardrobes included and the bathroom as well. It's quite a spacious bathroom. So this is the second bedroom, and there's another bathroom on. So it's a 2-bed, 2-bath, which is very popular layout. Okay, and this is the virtual tour. This is some views. This is the living area. Okay, and just to show you, these are the options. So that's this is a 1-bedroom option, I believe. Sorry, this is a 2-bedroom option for 570,000. This design is actually quite similar to the one that it's at the display. Okay, internal area of 64 square meters, total area of 70 square meters at 570,000. Yeah. We have also, this would be another 2-bed option as well. This is on level 2, apartment 09 or 08. Okay, so there's 2 beds in here, as you can see, and 2 bathrooms, starting from 640,000. So talking about this, right? A client has asked me a few weeks ago to look for something inner city for him within the 640 range. Ironically, this is the only new development that's going to complete that's actually within this price range. Everything I see in the city fringe, right, for a similar size apartment, they're already sub 700,000, and you can actually get something for this price 640 in this vicinity, which is actually a very good value. So yeah, that's why Encompass is actually a product that's already off the ground, it's already being built, and the prices are actually quite competitive compared to anything that's going to be launched. Even we look at products that are about 7 to 8 kilometers away towards the east side of the city. I looked at the 2-bed prices around these sizes. They are all already past 700,000. Yeah. So this is another one, 83 square meters. You would like to go for a bigger one. It's also very good price, 91 square all in within 720. And this is a bigger one, even the 3-bedroom, which is around 920,000. I've also seen quite a few local people actually staying in this sort of buildings in inner city, because they actually move from their houses and they find that this is actually quite a good size for them to actually live in. So the 3-bedrooms apartment has been quite popular as well, I think, for the new inner city apartments. So what's the purchase process? People ask you, what do you need to do? Very easy. Purchase process. This is an off-the-plan building. So meaning the building is expected to be completed 3rd quarter of next year. So registration fees is actually only 2,000 to the vendor solicitors. Then they sign contract within 7 days and from the booking date. So you arrange for the SPAs. Then you pay 10%. So if the apartment is about 640,000, so meaning what needs to be paid now is 64,000 plus legal fees. In this building, we're quite lucky to have FRB exemption, meaning the client saves 13,000 immediately if they purchase this building. So they don't have to pay for the foreign investor review board fees, which is around 13,000. Yeah, so you actually save that. So balance, it depends on whether you need a loan or not, is actually payable upon completion, which is 3rd quarter of 2023 expected. So this is a sample calculation, what you need to do for unit 570,000. Basically, like I said, 10% deposit needs to be paid, then the legal fees, then the FRBs, and the which is waived in this situation, and the balance, whatever you need to do. And also, stamp duty has to be paid at completion. And if you're a foreigner, there's a foreigner levy that needs to be paid. Yeah. For a more detailed explanation, probably do contact Joseph or me later on. We can actually come up with a detailed calculation for you as well, those who have questions. So I'm going to open up our floor now to questions. So do post in your Q&A. I think we have a question for Jason. Jason, are you here?
So my
I'm here.
Yeah, I caught it.
Oh, you called
Jason.
Hi, sorry.
Say hi to your.
Say hi to my little
Hello.
girl. Hello, everyone.
We have a new participant.
Yeah, she's my boss. Okay,
So Jason, one of the questions, I think it was posted earlier by this client, by this attendee. They asked, when do they actually need to exactly apply for the loan, right? Because it's going to be ready sometime September next year. Is it better to do it now or wait until like mid next year to actually submit their documents?
Great question. I think it's a 2-step process. Given that it will be done in September of next year, we have about 9 months to go, right? When we actually disburse the funds. So when I say it's a two-step process, we always start with pre-approval because you want to get an indication of what's doable now. Based on your current situation and based on your projected situation, how much can we borrow? And that allows you to set the budget of, okay, I have my 10%. I can actually meet my obligation for the balance of the 90. I can confidently say now that, okay, this is what I can do, right? But these sort of things last for about 90 days. So we would have to actually run another assessment towards maybe around August, September. Actually, if it's September, then maybe around June, July, August, to actually get an approval subject evaluation. So you don't want too many variables in your pre-approval. The pre-approval that we get right now, you would have it approved for 90 days, and it will be subject to the income that we can verify, or your expenses, because things can change in the next 9 months. So it will be subject to all of that in July next year. And then after that, we would run a valuation again. And valuation typically happens, and probably Adam, you're in a better position to answer this, but my understanding is valuations can be done once we have the certificate of occupancy. And between getting the certificate of occupancy and actually settlement is typically 2 to 4 weeks, depending on developers. And 2 to 4 weeks in this environment, in the current lending environment, it's not possible for you to get a result. So you want to start early, not too early, but early enough to iron out everything such that valuation is your only condition, and then we proceed with the final piece of the puzzle. So does that answer the question? We'll start now, get an indication, and then or we create a plan such that in June, July, August, we know what to do so that we can actually get everything in order and keep it subject to valuation as the only condition.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. So I think basically what you do now is once they have any interest, put down a deposit, then speak to you what they can do, then they have a clearer indication what needs to be done by next year. Yeah, at least they have an idea. So another question for Adam. But most of the apartments now, they are front-facing apartments facing Palmerston Street. Would there be much noise or any noise from the buildings?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Majority of our apartments, depending on the position, will have double glazing, Nick. So if someone was to secure an apartment, we can just confirm it'll either be a thickened or a double glazing, which generally is more than enough soundproofing.
Okay, so that can be done, yeah?
It's already included, yep.
Okay, and one more question I think I had earlier from another. How much are the expected main body corporate in this building for 1 bedroom or for a 2 bedroom? In Malaysia, we call maintenance charges. In Australia, it's called body corporate. So, Adam, do you have do you remember the base rate for the body corp?
The 1 bedrooms we're sold out of. So your 2 bed, 1 bath, you'd be looking in and around the 3,000 per annum for your maintenance or your body corporate charge, which in this part of Melbourne is very reasonable for what you're getting.
Yeah, because I looked at most of the fringe city apartments for 2 bedroom, it generally be around at least the 4,000 to 5,000 plus range. So it's actually I mean, taking into account the density of this project, I think the body corp is actually not that high, and it's actually quite reasonable. Another question is for Adam as well. Is this going to be the last release of apartments for Frasers in this Melbourne University precinct?
For some time it will be. So this is our last parcel of land that we can develop. So unless Frasers acquires a new site, and then that would take quite a bit of time to develop and then for us to sell, we'd put on the market maybe an extra 18 or 18 months, and then we'll start selling. So depending on planning, permits, design. So at the moment, this is our last release in this precinct. It's been very successful for us. But if you're really looking in this location, as I mentioned, there's a lot of factors there to consider, particularly that increase in price that you'll be looking at if you did decide to wait. I think this building ticks a lot of boxes at the moment. Price points are very, very attractive.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I fully agree with you on that, as because I'm also looking to for some clients new projects, and there's really not many coming up, and a lot they're looking at very much higher price per square meter due to the current construction prices that's really gone up to the past 2 years. So yes, okay, I think there's one last question we will take that at a time. Are there any more one bidders plus studies? I think I will answer that question. No, I think the smallest one we have now is a 2+1, but there's still very good value. You can get a 2-bed, 1-bath, slightly more than 500,000. So which is still very good value in this area, and it's a proper layout. I think for more questions on what units are available, you can actually ask. My details are here, Theo as well, and Joseph. Do ask us if we need help from Adam, or we need you to connect you to Jason. We can actually help you all. And okay, I think because we're coming to a late evening here, especially in Melbourne, I'd like to thank Adam for your time today, for joining us. Yeah, thanks very much. And also Jason, your family day today. We took 1 hour of your time. So hopefully, any more questions we will post to you, or we will actually email to you. Yeah. Okay. So thanks everyone for attending our webinar today. Hope you had an interesting session. Do contact us again for any queries. Thank you. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.